Hey there fellow musician, welcome back to another tutorial, and today I have another short video for you where I'll show you how Andrew Scheps uses parallel compression to get his drums to sound bigger and fuller in the mix. This will help your drums translate well in different sound devices. Before I talk about the settings, let's listen to the before and after. So the before and after will be level meshed so that we don't get any comments from the level mesh police. Make sure that you download my cheat sheet. You can download the compression cheat sheet by going to audiospectra.net/cheat sheet. You'll get it for free. It will teach you everything you need to know about compression. So what I did was to export the processed and the unprocessed version and then level mesh them so that we can get a fair comparison of the before and after. So let's check that out. So as you can see with the peak meter, you can see that the unprocessed version is peaking a little bit louder than the processed version. I did my best to level mesh them as best as I can. The difference here is that the unprocessed version has a shorter decay, which won't help the drums to sound fuller and warmer in the mix. But the processed version, we were able to increase the length so that the drums become bigger and fuller. Let's talk about the settings. So the first thing that you're going to do is to take all your drums and send them to a drum bus. So on the drum bus, you can choose to use a drum bus compressor or not. That's totally up to you, and that also depends on the song. And then for this one, I have a drum bus compressor. And then you'll take the drum bus and then send it to a drum kit aux. On the drum kit aux, that's where you'll do all your parallel processing. So let's talk about the parallel processing. The first thing that we have is reverb. We have a precast. And then as you can see, it has a short decay just to add a little bit of length to all your drums. So this also includes the kick as well. By the way, this is something that I did. Andrew Scheps doesn't do this. But what I did was to remove the reverb on the lower end frequencies and a little bit on the top end as well, just to make sure that the reverb sounds much more cleaner. I also increased a little bit of the size so that I can make the top end a little bit wider. And that's just taste. It's not necessary. What I'm going to do is to play the drums, and then you can be able to listen to how the reverb is affecting the entire drum kit. So as you can hear, it's increasing the decay of the drums. And then next up, we have a drum crash. So for the drum crash, Andrew Scheps says he likes the Punchy 670 because it gives him that character that he wants from the Fairchild emulation. So let's listen to the before and after. So this one, just because it has a little bit of slow attack, it makes sure that the drums sound much more punchy. As you can see, we're adding a little bit of that. We're not exaggerating it so that it is more felt rather than sounding too obvious. Next up, we have the fezzo. So for the fezzo, Andrew Scheps uses the UAD Fetso plugin, and I don't have the UAD Fetso plugin. So the best alternative that I could find was the UBK Fetso from Kush. So let's listen to the before and after, and then I'll explain the settings. So as you can hear, this is not sounding too obvious. You just have to feel it. So what we're doing is to glue the drums, and then with a little bit of glue, we're adding a lot of saturation. As you can see, there's saturation on the output, and then there's saturation on the input as well. And then there's a little bit of compression just to make sure that the snare doesn't get too much out of hand. So the snare is well controlled for this parallel track. So we're making sure that we're bringing up the decay for the entire drum kit. And then next up, what we have is the Devil Lock. So the Devil Lock is just crushing the entire drum kit. Check it out. So in this case, we're not doing any compression. What we're doing is to apply heavy distortion on the drums to give the drums some character and more attitude. So if you listen to the drum crash on its own, check this out. So that's what we're adding to the entire drum kit. As you can see, I'm adding just a tiny bit so that it doesn't sound too obvious, because that's not the sound that we're going for. But depending on what you want, you can even add more. But for me, it's just too spicy. So that's why I add a little bit of it. And then next up, we have the drum tet. Now with the drum tet, the good thing about the drum tet is that you can automate this. So during verses, you can just tone it down a bit. And then during the chorus, you can bring it up to make the drums sound bigger in the chorus parts. This is the one that you automate a lot. And it does increase the length of the drums a little bit longer compared to everything else. So what we have is the Omni channel. So the Omni channel is just controlling around 200 Hz to make sure that the snare doesn't go out of control. As you can see, we're using the de-esser. And then for the distortion, we're using Trash 2. For this plugin, it's even using a preset. So sometimes presets do work, sometimes they don't. But in this case, it uses a preset. And then we also have EQ to tame down all the harshness so that the overheads don't go out of hand as well, like the cymbals. And then let's listen to the before and after. So with this one, you're able to hear it. It's up to you whether you want it to sound a little bit obvious or you just want to add more of it. So right now, I'm going to switch everything on and off so that you can be able to hear the before and after. So when we're listening to the entire processing one at a time, you couldn't even tell that the difference is so big. But when I mute everything, that's when you're able to tell that, oh, we're definitely doing a lot to the drum kit. And another thing that I have to mention is that there's a kick snare parallel track as well. So on the kick snare parallel track, we have as you can see, it's kick snare. What he has on the parallel track is the DVX. So you'll always have the waves and the UAD one, and then switch between the two and then choose the one that works well for that particular mix. So for this one, you just want a touch of compression. So check this out. So this one gives you that attack for the kick and the snare. So without this, the kick and snare might sound a little bit quieter because of the reverb that we added on the drum kit aux. So that's why the kick and snare parallel compression is really important. That's why I had to show you that. If you're still struggling with compression, make sure that you go to audiospectra.net/cheat sheet. That's where you learn more about compression, and you'll get a video series teaching you how to get the perfect settings each and every time you apply compression. And that's it for today's video. I'll see you on the next one. Take good care of yourself. Cheers.